Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now using promo code DNVR. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code DNVR only at DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Suzie Hunter, and joined with me, a trade deadline acquisition. He's just a rental from DNVR Nuggets, Brendan Vogt. How are you doing?
Suzie, I'm great. I've missed you. I've missed this program. I haven't necessarily missed the Losers Lounges aspect of it, but doing a show with you, I missed. It's good to be back.
We don't have to call it the Losers Lounge. We can just call it a post-game show.
Air horns?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Lost air horns. Let's go. We won one game this series.
No, but they almost won two, Suzie.
They almost won. I mean,
kind of.
Define almost.
It was a one-run game that one time.
Who is to say what is almost? But yeah, the Rockies dropped this one today, 7-3 against the Dodgers. But it was Ryan McMahon Bobblehead Day.
Feast your eyes.
Look at him.
Front
and I know
center.
we've got a graphic picture because I got up close in there. I think it looks a lot like him. Brendan, what do you think?
It actually looks surprisingly like him. When I saw this in the rundown, I was prepared for a hideous bobblehead because these are easy to screw up. Apparently, I've never tried to make a bobblehead. I've seen many people try and fail. I think this thing is eerily on point. Maybe some skin shade issues, but that's classic for a bobblehead.
He looks a little too tan.
The hat, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a little darker than he is in real life. He looks like he got a little tan.
But it looks good. They got the jawline right. That's important. Big straw jawline for
yeah, the ears. It's great. So yeah, head over to our Twitter if you have no idea what we're talking about and you are listening to us as a podcast. But some more Rockies news today. Should we get into our king of the game? Because this was the one bright spot, I feel like, in today's game.
Yeah,
our king of the game, Randall Grichik.
He's been rolling.
He has been rolling. He was 2 for 4 today, which, doesn't sound amazing, but he had 2 RBI, and he is on an 8-game hit streak. So he is, I think you were saying before we were talking during the game, he's streaky.
He's a streaky hitter, and I remember that from his Cardinal days. But when he's on, he's on. He can really produce, and they needed it in this series. Didn't manifest in wins, unfortunately, but he virtually single-handedly kept them in this offensively. It's been a good week for him. It was a great weekend for him. Unfortunately, it didn't culminate in anything positive today.
Yeah, and speaking of not positive, we did see a debut on the Dodgers end. Outfielder James Outman made his MLB debut, and in his very first at-bat, hits a 2-run homer off Marquez.
He walloped that thing.
Walloped,
no
for
doubter.
Sure.
And first of all, that's a great last name for baseball.
It was good.
Too good to be true. I wish he would have been out, man, but he went out of here, man. How am I doing? There's no Patrick,
that was
so
good.
I just got to ham it up.
I know. We have a void here.
I have to fill it.
The bad puns, the bad jokes. By the way, in case you were wondering, Patrick is in San Diego right now, ahead of the Padres series, ahead of the trade deadline. He's already there. He'll be joining us in a little bit to check in.
I miss him.
Tell us what he's up to. I miss him too. I haven't seen him in a couple of days at this point.
So I assume Outman's family, like every other Dodgers fan, was there today, correct?
They were there, yes. Cool. I know that they made it onto TV on the Dodgers broadcast. They were pretty excited. They were a little bit behind home plate. They were pretty loud.
It is a cool thing. I mean, you hate when it's the Dodgers at the Rockies, but a major league debut with a home run is as good as it gets, and that family shot's always fun. I actually felt good about it in the moment for a second, and then I checked the scoreboard, and I was like, yeah, that's tough.
I could have lived with it if...
he made it out, man?
If he made it out, man. Another thing that we got to keep an eye on, Chris Bryant left the game early with foot soreness. We know that he's been suffering from plantar fasciitis, but he left the game. But he said he wants to keep an eye on it because it's going to be bothersome going forward until it's resolved. That sounds ominous to me.
Yeah.
And I know, like, plantar fasciitis, from what I've heard about it, maybe sometimes it's not a huge deal. Sometimes it can really sideline you. But he did say specifically that he can absolutely stay in the lineup in a DH role. So something to keep an eye on.
And I was kind of surprised that he didn't start that way in terms of returning, just because the foot issue's there. Look, if he says he's good to go, he's good to go. This is a fickle issue, so hard to have your finger on the pulse of it. But, you see him in left. He makes that great play today, tracking that ball down, but you're thinking that's a lot of work for a fellow whose foot's hurting. And you hope for the best. But like the back thing, this is the kind of injury that can linger, that can flare up, that can just sort of be a pain in the ass for long stretches of the season.
Yeah.
So it's been a really tough start. It's been a really tough start to this contract. And you got to feel for Chris Bryant, who is supremely talented, and the back half of his career is probably not going as he planned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he expected a much different situation heading into this big contract with the Rockies, but... yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. I'm a little concerned, but, let's hope he pulls through. Speaking of pulling through, I'm not as good at segues as Patrick is.
Yeah, that's all right.
Brian Serven had a great home run off the very first pitch in the Rockies half of the third inning.
Yeah, almost felt like it was going to maybe change the complexion of the game. Obviously, the Dodgers, Outman hits that pop, you're up 2-0, they're up 2-0, and you're thinking... just don't be a long afternoon, Just don't be. It's been a tough series.
It has
And then
been.
immediately he serves one to left to sort of restore hope. And he's got some pop in that bat. I mean, he's not the most complete hitter in the world, but when he gets a hold of one, you definitely see why he's a major leaguer.
Yeah, it was funny when I saw Outman hit that home run. I'm like, oh no, is he trying to outdo Serven's debut?
I know. But then Serven, hey, he got
like,
one back.
He's like, no, this is my house. I'm hitting the homers here.
I find myself rooting particularly hard for Serven. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm in his corner. So now you know, Brian.
Now you know. He's a likable dude.
He
Former
is.
yard goat.
He is. Oh, that's right. That's your speed, Suzie.
Yes, exactly. Sad news, though. Devastating news. Ryan McMahon went 0 for 4 on his bobblehead day.
That is a bummer. That is the advanced analytics that I need in my life. How do hitters typically perform on bobblehead day? Is this an overperformance, an underperformance, or on par? Was he feeling the pressure? Did you get a chance to ask him that? You
know what? I didn't get a chance to ask him, but he didn't seem like he was under pressure before
Probably
the game.
not.
He seemed pretty. The fun thing about the game, though, was the camera crew at Coors Field placed the Rymac bobblehead in all different parts of the park.
Nice.
And also on the scoreboard, instead of showing his picture like it does for everyone else, they showed a picture of the bobblehead.
Smart.
Which kind of was scary.
They still get the ballpark experience, right? Don't they? Our Rockies.
It was, they truly get the ballpark experience for sure. But yeah, that was a tough series against the Dodgers. Got the win on Saturday night, though, so that was really fun. And there were 47,000 plus fans there to see that win. A lot of them were Dodger fans.
Yeah.
But
it was full. Yeah, it was a weird series. I mean, to make it about today again, it was almost classic Rockies. They can't either seem to fully pull themselves back over the ledge or let go of the rope. Every time they get to about that 9-10 game spot, they're like, we're going to beat a good team now. And you're like, where'd that come from? And they almost did that again today, and a split would have been hilariously on brand for this team. But that just, what was it, the botched double play?
Yeah.
With for Brendan Rodgers there in the top of the fourth, and you're just like, man, just let all the wind out of the sails. This was a tough series, but it was cool to see them get one, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, James Partney, frequent commenter, has something to say about plantar fasciitis.
Oh?
He says it seems to always want to stick around. Are you a podiatrist? Are there any podiatrists? Do we have a doctor on this airplane?
That is true. You could just, on the internet, if you say it really confidently enough, you can sound like an expert in anything. I don't know if that it seems to be the case anecdotally. It is, Suzie, one of those injuries like a back injury or a hamstring injury where, okay, maybe the player says they're feeling better that one day, but you don't know till you get back out there and the soreness just flares up and comes and goes. So it is another yeesh injury for Mr. Bryant.
Yeesh. Couldn't have said it better myself. Also, so let's get into this weekend, shall we? How many games did you catch all the games this weekend?
I caught 2 games this weekend. I caught yesterday and today.
All right, so yesterday was a lot of fun. But yesterday, there were some actual Friars at Coors Field. So we're sitting in the press box, look down, before the game during batting practice, there will be, some fans on the field who have the opportunity to watch batting practice. We see a couple of guys wearing like actual just these frocks. They look like monks. We're like, what's going on here? The Padres aren't playing. So I go down to honestly, like, I'm expecting to like not bully these guys, but just be like, what's going on here?
And it's okay if you want. You can bully people.
What is this? So I kind of said that. I was like, what's going on here? What is this get up? And they were like, oh, we are Franciscan Friars.
So like actual not a
Friars,
gimmick or a costume.
Not a gimmick.
Okay. And what brought them to Coors Field?
So they have been on a mission for the past 11 weeks. They went to all 30 ballparks, and Coors Field was number 30.
Wait.
And I know. Incredible.
That's a bucket list trip for anyone.
I know. I was like, guys, I've done this too. Not in 11 weeks. That's so impressive. It took me like 6 months. They flew half of it and they drove half of it. So they did about 9,000 miles of driving, 9,000 miles of flying, especially on the West Coast where things are much farther away from everything else. But, their whole mission was to, talk about the Lord and say some prayers for people in the cathedrals of baseball.
And watch some dingers.
The
mission was to catch some dingers, Suzie.
I did appreciate they were like, oh, yeah, we always root for the home team. And we have a winning record, so we're pulling for a Rockies win. So,
and of course,
God was on the Rockies side at Saturday night.
That explains it.
It explains it.
Come on back, Friars.
Please come back.
Season ticket holders, even if you want.
Give them season tickets.
Did you get to ask them any? Did they have a favorite ballpark that they've seen so far?
You know what? I think they had a good time in San Diego.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They were very on brand. They did not have a good time in LA. Dodgers.
Okay.
So here's what happened at Dodger Stadium. So they go in their not monk frocks, they're Friar frocks. There's a difference. They go and people at Dodger Stadium were heckling them so much that they actually had to leave the game early because they just saw Friars and they thought they were dressed as Padres. And they were like, well, usually, people let us talk and we say prayers with people at the park, and they just got booed horrendously at Dodger Stadium to the point where they had to leave early.
Someone tried to fist fight them. They weren't sure why.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
They did not have a good time at Dodger Stadium, but they had a good time at Coors Field.
I'm glad they did.
We had a good time having them there. The real news out of yesterday was the Daniel Bard extension. 2 years, 19 mil. Boys getting paid. What do you think, Brendan?
Well earned, well deserved. Again, one of the bright spots in this season where there haven't been a ton, and really just the way the tail end of his career has gone is one of those great baseball stories. Just one of those stories that makes you feel good about, I don't know, just sticking with it. Just the I think being good in baseball is such a fluid thing, particularly for pitchers, where kind of in basketball, once a player gets over, they're over. But baseball, year to year, month to month, there are these stretches where no matter how much muscle memory you seem to have, no matter how much you have the mechanics down, things get away from you. Things come back to you. And so to see him at this point in his career pitching this well and seeing the reward for it, it's really, really cool, Suzie.
I like that. Well said. Interesting that you said tail end of his career, because I kind of see it as a restart of his career.
Second career. Even.
A second career.
Yeah, it's a better way to put it.
Yeah. No, I'm happy for him. He had a lot to say. We'll get into that in a little bit too. But on Saturday, the day that this extension was announced, he had his 22nd save of the season. He got a standing ovation coming into this game. He now is a 1.86 ERA after that 9th inning shutout on Saturday.
It's awesome. It's 37 years old. That's crazy.
He's 37. Every time someone says he's 37, there's always someone else who says he's a young 37.
Young for his age.
He is a young 37. He took 6 years off. Rested the old arm.
Do we want to have a tough conversation about Daniel Bard, or where are we in the timing of the show, Suzie?
As far
as ad breaks. 15 minutes?
15 minutes.
You want to talk Daniel for a little bit?
We can talk Daniel for a little bit. Do we have to talk about any sponsors?
Oh, we can do that first if you'd like. Hey, how about this sponsor? if you're familiar with the DNVR, you're familiar with the partnership. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook, has a can't-miss offer right now. Get in on the hottest sports action for your shot at cold hard cash with DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet on your favorite sports all summer long and gear up for football season right now. New customers can get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Just make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't hit, you'll get another shot at a big win. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, there are so many ways to play. There are so many ways to win with DraftKings Sportsbook. Best of all, it's safe, secure, reliable. Deposit, withdraw that cash whenever you want. After all, that's the point. It's your money. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code DNVR.
Ooh.
Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Risk-free bet paid out in the form of non-withdrawable free bet token. Max $1,000. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
You talk real fast.
Yeah,
on those disclaimers.
I do with the DraftKings reads, you know. I've done a lot of them. You know what else I've done a lot of? Pick of the weeks. And that's why we're going to stay with DraftKings. We're going to look.
Yeah, what's your pick of the week?
Well, let's look at today's slate of games, Susie. Monday's slate of games. And how about Max Scherzer going up against the Washington Nationals, this time as a New York Met. Mets are the heavy favorites, so maybe not a ton of value, but you just got to like Mad Max in a game like that with a little extra behind it. So here's something I don't say very often in my life. Bet on the Mets. Why not?
You know what? I like it. I approve. You have my blessing to make this bet, to make this pick.
Thank you, Susie.
I would not bet against Max Scherzer.
No way.
Dude is crazy.
He is insane.
He's good at his
That's
job.
DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook.
Sounds good. We're going to get into Daniel Bard in a second, but let's finish recapping this Dodgers series. Friday was a very close loss, a one-run game, and it also marked six straight losses against the Dodgers. That is a tongue twister, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. That's tough.
We saw a late inning comeback that wasn't quite enough, but I think the concerning part in that game, Chad Kuhl only lasted 3 2/3 innings, and ever since that complete game shutout, he has not been that on fire Chad Kuhl that we have seen. He has not completed 5 innings in his last 3 outings.
Yeah, it's problematic, and he was a force to start the season. He was an unexpected contributor, maybe not unexpected, but overperforming a little bit, and man, has that swung back the other way. You know, not having your stuff is one thing, but not being able to eat up innings is another altogether. I mean, we're all baseball people here. It's you play series at a time, not one game at a time, and so having to dip into that bullpen is never helpful. And so that's your job, particularly as a back end starter. Okay, maybe you're not always going to be the ace, but can you at least give him 5 innings, 6 innings? And right now he's struggling to really eat deeply into ball games, and that's a problem.
I mean, at least the way this rotation is, it's like we've got Austin Gomber kind of toeing the line between, is he a starter? Is he in the bullpen?
Right.
So at least he's been able to come in and do that. Feltner, of course, we've got him as a long reliever too. So it's just like, it's a little tricky. We've gotten some short starts out of our guys lately. Yeah,
and that's just tough. That sets you back, and that adds up and that compounds as the long season unfolds. So I think we're seeing some of that catching up with the Rockies a bit right now.
Yeah. Charlie Blackman on Friday was heading into that game, had a 20-game hitting streak. It ended on Friday when he went 0 for 4. Very nasty-like.
Yes, but I was really glad to see that hit streak happen.
You were
altogether.
Oh, you were glad to see the hit streak happen.
It's just really cool to me that Chuck is still a Rocky and still here, Mr. Rocky. You know, as we've coined that term for the Nuggets, and it's been a mostly fruitless season, but to see him get something going, produce a little bit, and hopefully, ideally, just having fun playing baseball, because for a lot of these guys, sometimes that's all you can ask for, and that's also important too. So tough to see it end, but good on the man for getting it going in the first place.
Yeah, good for him.
That's a positive spin right there.
That is Suzie. A positive spin there. I mean, hit streaks can't last forever.
No, they cannot.
We know this. But yeah, Friday was tough. Thursday was even tougher. That was that 13-0 absolute blowout. Did you catch any of that, Brendan?
Oh, I caught a little bit. I was out to dinner, and every time I looked over at the big TV next to me, it looked worse and worse and worse. And I thought about you and Patrick. And I thought, this is tough to watch, but I don't have to do a show on it. They do.
And now here you are doing a show on it.
I know, reaping what I sow. I know.
I was going to call it reverse manifested it.
And I guess I did do that. I was like, those suckers. Now here I am. I don't have many notes on that game, Suzie. No, hang on. I have one here.
What did you write down?
Not good.
Oh, yeah. That's a fair assessment. We did see the debut of closer Brian Serven.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
It's a huge deal anytime we see a Rocky come in, a position player pitching, because Bud Black hates it.
Right.
Because it means that the game has gone horribly wrong.
We're seeing that a lot in baseball this year, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're just probably more blowouts, but just feel like I've seen a lot of position players on the mound getting their moment.
I mean, they're also getting a lot more attention. Cut 4 has a thread of every position player that pitches this season. They have fun with it. But yeah, Brian Serven got out there through maybe one of the best innings of that game.
5 to a player. I've always said he's a complete player in that way, and they're underutilizing him sticking behind the plate.
You know, I was jokingly calling him the Shohei Ohtani of the Rockies.
I like that.
Which I got a kick out of.
I'm sure no one will disagree.
No one will disagree. He's our Shohei. But he said he hadn't pitched in a game basically since high school. That's
crazy. Were you much of a pitcher?
No, I was never. Look at these arms. They skinny.
I was a relief pitcher in my all-star middle school days, and I used to get so fired up and so mad and emotional. My dad would give me you ever heard the rubber band trick for stress?
Oh, like
just a little
you hit your okay.
So I was a little like 5'4" long-haired dude, just stomping around on the mound, just slapping myself with a rubber band. Were you an angry pitcher? I was mostly because I couldn't pitch very well, and that made me extremely mad.
That would make me mad too. My softball career ended in 5th grade.
Okay,
due to being terrible.
Oh, I was gonna say, was it a horrific injury or just?
No, it was just you're not good at this, and I was small. I was like 60 pounds.
Really?
Yeah, and I have ADHD, so I just couldn't reel it in. I had to be the catcher. Not because of my tremendous baseball IQ, but because if they put me in the outfield,
the game got real long.
I would get distracted. I'd be dancing. I had no focus. I have to really be behind the plate.
Short and ADD, 2 things we have in common, Suzie.
Yes.
Well, little you and adult me have in common.
Exactly. A funny story from Thursday that I got a kick out of. Hanser Alberto of the Dodgers was playing rock, paper, scissors with young fans. And if they won rock, paper, scissors, they got a ball from him.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. He was calling them little fans. I asked him about it in the Dodgers clubhouse this weekend rather. But yeah, he said that one kid challenged him to rock, paper, scissors. He was 4 games in. It was tied. And Justin Turner was like, no, you got to finish this.
Yeah.
So he was egging him on. So because he lost, he gave up a ball, but then other kids saw it and they wanted to join in. He ended up losing 5 balls.
Crazy,
so,
man.
Alberto, we know, not good at rock, paper, scissors. Terrible instincts there.
Too trusting of children. Did you ever get a ball or an autograph ball or anything?
I don't have any autograph balls. I've acquired 1 ball from a game, and it was a spring training game, maybe in 2018.
Do you think if you caught a foul ball and there was a kid in the vicinity, you would give the ball to the kid?
I would.
Yeah, me too. I definitely wasn't going to say something else.
I would. Well, I feel like if I catch a foul ball and if it's a good catch, I'm going to get attention. They're going to put me on TV or they're going to put me on the big screen. I'm going to get what I want out of it. I don't need to keep the ball.
Attention's all you need.
Attention's truly all I need. It's like photosynthesis
Gestures
for a plant.
Widely. Yeah, very true. I'm not giving it. Catch your own ball, kid. Life's about hard work, and sometimes you take L's. I'm just kidding. I would give the ball to a kid for sure.
Only because of the pressure or because you would want to?
No, the pressure, yeah. I want to look like I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, what if no one was watching?
Then I'm keeping the ball.
But the kid was begging you.
Please, sir, please, I want a ball.
Learn how to read a fly ball, kid.
Oh my god.
I had 2 feet under
gracious.
That's brutal. It's stern but fair. Stern but fair.
Listen, it's not a kid's game, okay? It's an adult's game.
Okay, hold on. So foul ball is one thing. If you catch a home run.
That I'm definitely keeping. I've never caught a home run.
I've never caught a home run either.
Well, so you have to keep it too, Suzie.
I'm torn on this one. I'm like, well, like a home run's really cool.
This handout generation doesn't need any more help.
Wow.
Suzie. I'm just kidding. I really
Don't
am.
be that guy.
I'm only like 29.
He's being that guy. Are you 29 or are you like 59?
I got a lot lot of handouts actually.
Are you Gen X right now?
I am. Get off my lawn.
Participation
Suzie.
trophies.
Get off of this lawn.
I was not expecting this energy out of you.
Me
That's
either.
what you get in a vote
That
show.
got really dark. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, he was prepping himself. He didn't have the energy today. So maybe it's just like a Sunday tired.
Yeah, I'm cranky.
Vibe.
I'm a cranky old man today. And I'm leaning into that.
Yeah, lean in. It's all good. Happy to have you back, Brendan.
Thanks, Suzie.
Happy to have
I'm glad
you
to
back.
be back.
Let's get back into the Bard extension. We got a chance to talk to him a bunch this weekend, and we do have some sound. I want us to play it for you. But yeah, I mean, listen, this is a guy who he's been on a journey, and then he has been the center of so many trade rumor talks in the media, on social media, for the past couple of weeks. And I mean, I can't even imagine. So I mean, we obviously asked him about it.
Sure.
'Cause this is his life, you know? If
Real
you get
human
traded,
being.
you're going to have to move. He's got all these kids. They're very hyper. His kids are hilarious. They have a lot of energy. I've never seen them walk. They have one speed. It's running at all times. So I can't even imagine trying to move them to a new place.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But anyway, we want to have you listen to some sound from Daniel Bard coming off the news of his extension. Take a listen.
Thinking of where I was, 3 years ago and making the decision to try to play again and not knowing what that was going to look like or how long it would last or if anyone would even sign me, to have a team, make this kind of commitment and show of faith and belief in me is it's pretty cool, to say the least.
Daniel, over the past couple of weeks, there has been a lot of talk about you, a lot of trade rumors. Has any of that been a distraction?
Most of the time, I think once the game kind of starts, it kind of goes out the window and you focus on winning the game that night for your team. So I'd be lying if I said I never thought about it. It's definitely something that, like I said, you can't help but think about because if it did go down, that's a massive change to me in my life. So definitely thought about it some, but it's nice to have that kind of put to bed for now.
That's a great question, Suzie.
Thank you. Of course, I like how when I start talking, that is when the music starts.
It's
like, you've got to be kidding me. Really?
That's so
I noticed that too. I was like, oh no, damn.
I know.
What happened to Suzie?
Suze can't win. That's what we know.
You asked a good question, though, and I liked his answer because the one half of it, sure, we hear that from athletes all the time, and I'm sure it's true that when you're in the heat of doing what you do for a living, the skill you've honed your whole life, you're probably pretty good at just doing that. But what you were just talking about going into that interview, it's not just the getting traded, it's the not knowing part. Mm-hmm. Knowing you have to move your entire family, stressful enough. Do I have to or not? That could change any minute. And I might not even be the first to know. That is a stress that I think we forget to sort of incorporate into. These are people. Mm-hmm. And to not carry that with them day to day would be impossible. So I like that honest answer.
Yeah, I did too. I liked what he said about, he referenced his comeback and how, a couple of years ago, he took this risk. He made this jump like, oh, maybe I can come back to the majors after being gone for 6 years. He was like, I think I still got it. He didn't know if anyone would be interested in him. And now just a few years later, the Rockies are making this big commitment to him. And I mean, it sounds like he's grateful for the Rockies taking that chance on him initially. So, I mean, I don't know if I was projecting a little or not, but I feel like I heard a little like choking up in there when he started talking about it.
Yeah, sure.
It
absolutely.
seemed a little emotional.
I would imagine. I mean, look, at his age during that phase of his career, I'm sure many, many times he would just thought, I'll never get to play this game again. And to decide you want back in, to have someone give you that opportunity when really, he certainly wasn't guaranteed one. Mm-hmm. I mean, that in and of itself is incredible, but then to be able to take advantage of it and for them to reward him for it, it's probably a great feeling. And again, this is just in a season where you're really stretching to find something to celebrate and enjoy. He has given us plenty of ammunition.
Yeah. Bud Black and Bill Schmidt talked about this also. We got a chance to talk to both of them on Saturday. Buddy said, we like a lot of our players. You try to keep the guys you want to keep.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this quote. Mm-hmm. And first of all, you obviously know what he means. It sounds obvious, but there's this weird dynamic in baseball the last, what do you want to call it? We can just say 10 years, keep it simple.
Okay.
It's probably been longer than that. Only a handful of teams at any given point are really competing. And everyone else is just sort of kind of running this business or kicking this can down the road in terms of, like, every time a player that's not one of those four teams, that's not playing for one of those four teams becomes good, a successful development story. Mm-hmm. The next question is like, okay, so when do they trade him? Every good player in baseball is like, when do they trade him? Mm-hmm. And at some point, for some of these teams, doesn't the goal have to be obtaining and keeping good players? And so, like, I certainly get a manager's frustration on that perspective. Having said that, as it applies to this particular player, there are also some things to be realistic about. 37. When, how long will he be this good? Will it be within a window of time where he can help a playoff team, which I know the Rockies haven't ruled that out. I will probably do it for them. I don't view them as a playoff team. So does it make more sense to just trade him to a team that can really use him? And if you're doing that, it's not necessarily like you're reneging on that support and commitment you just showed him. You gave him the money, and now you're maybe giving him this opportunity to go and compete one last time. So maybe there is a win-win proposition on the table here.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he's 37. He's a young 37.
He's young.
He's going to be like pitching until he's like Tom Brady's age.
Yeah. Okay.
However old what is he, like 50 now?
Tom Brady. 400 years old.
He's 400 years old.
What Bard needs to do is what Tom Brady's been doing, and that's drink child blood.
Oh, I thought you were going into an Athletic Greens read.
Oh, no. That would have been
I don't know what the reads are today. That would have been a really good transition.
No, I was going to go into a tangent about child blood, but you're probably right. We can move on. Whatever you have next on the rundown.
Where does Tom Brady get child blood?
I don't know, but that's clearly the secret. I mean, just think about it for more than 10 seconds. That's what's happening.
It's gotta be.
In my opinion.
Gotta be. Well, listen, the Rockies kept a guy that they want to keep. We will see what is going on with the rest of, we're heading into the trade deadline on Tuesday. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a busy day.
For most of the league.
Yeah. Allie, do we have Patrick yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
That's slacker.
When does he think the third segment starts?
Oh, well, after this ad read. Should I do that for you, Suzie?
Let's do a little ad read.
We'll do it live. Let's talk about FOCO. Colorado sports fans, you're home for Denver sports coverage. That's us, Suzie.
That is us.
We're partnering with a leader in sports merchandise and collectibles. Talking about FOCO, we're teaming up with them to secure your access to the best collectibles and gear around. Whether it's Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, Buffs, or Rapids, FOCO will have something for you or a loved one. Looking to get a gift for a diehard sports fan, they have officially licensed gear. So, look, we know the bobblehead game can be dangerous. A lot of knockoffs out there. You want the officially licensed stuff, and FOCO's got it. Excuse me. So head over to FOCO.com right now and use promo code DNVR for 10% off. Excuse me again. That's seltzer. It's very bubbly.
Oh, you got some seltzy bubbles going on?
I got a little seltzy.
You got
bubbles.
seltzy throat?
I do. I've learned this lesson so many times live on the air, and I keep doing it. Oh, what else do we want to talk about? The Colorado Golf Association is having an awesome raffle going for all of our golf fans out there. Check out the Dream Golf Vacation Raffle. Prizes include stay and play packages at Walier Blue Golf Course in Maui. I've been to Maui, Suzie. It's really nice.
I have also been to Maui, and I can agree. It's nice as heck.
Very nice. Yeah.
Let's go.
Whistling Straits, a Naples Golf Tour, and Palm Beach Golf Tour, as well as a $5,000 gift card to Bandon Dunes. Anyone who enters before July 14th will be eligible to win an early bird prize on a VIP experience at the 2022 BMW Championship. Yo, this is like a crazy raffle. A lot of good rewards here.
Yeah.
Where the winner will get an inside the ropes experience and walk with the players in the event. Gosh darn. All proceeds and benefit the CGA community programs, including Youth on Course, Solid Caddy, and Leadership Academy. Youth on Course allows kids 18 and under to play courses around the state for $5 or less, and the Academy is a flagship program at the CGA for kids to caddy in a 2-year training program. Head to coloradogolf.org to get your tickets today.
I like it.
None, Suze. We're back.
We're back? All right. Now, while we wait for Patrick, let's talk about some of the other trades that have happened ahead of the deadline. We know that the busiest time will be like these next couple of days, but we've already seen some action for sure. One of them is a name familiar to us. Former Rockies reliever Philip Deal, along with outfielder Tyler Naquin in Cincinnati, went to the Mets.
Nice. The Mets.
The Mets are doing a lot. The Mets now also have Daniel Vogelbach and Michael Perez.
I can't tell if the Mets are like legit good or not. I just can't tell.
I know they're spending money.
They're trying to be good. They're doing things like a good team, but they're still the Mets, so it makes it kind of tough.
I mean, the Mets are always going to Met. The Mets are also 64-37.
Yeah. No, I know. Like, they are, by all accounts, a good team on paper, but just by virtue of the name on the jersey, I don't trust it.
Never trust it. Never trust it. I mean, it's just, they're hilarious. I'm glad that they exist to always give us punchlines. But yeah, they are going for it.
Yeah. I mean, as they should.
And also, speaking of going for it, the Mariners added right-handed pitcher Luis Castillo, also from Cincinnati. So I see the Mariners as another team who are just like, okay, like now is the time. Let's go in.
And on the other side of the fence, what we were just talking about, Cincinnati, we've got a good player. We'll flip him for more good players.
Yeah.
And we'll see if maybe one day they'll be as good as he was. But no, 3 of their top 4 prospects, including Marte, heading over.
Yeah. So, yeah, lots of action already. Tampa Bay took a guy from the National League West. David Peralta, outfielder formerly of the Diamondbacks. So I know our friends at PHNX Diamondbacks are mourning that loss.
Yeah, I don't know much about how Peralta's playing at this stage in his career. I'm not going to lie to you, Susie. I'm not watching every Diamondbacks game.
Wow.
I know that's a crazy revelation.
Very off-brand.
I've skipped some.
No, he could be a Rocky killer for sure. So I personally, for the sake of the Rockies and the quality of our podcast, yeah. I'm happy to see him go to Tampa Bay. They seem like they want to make some moves.
Yep.
Let them make the moves.
And then obviously my card sent Sosa on the move for Romero. That's not the trade I'm interested in, Susie.
What are you interested in?
There's a particular fellow named Juan Soto out there. That's the trade I'm hoping to see happen for my favorite team. But I will stop talking about that now immediately because we're on the DNVR Rockies podcast.
Okay, well, we can talk about where you think Juan Soto is going to go. Why do you think he's going to go to the Cardinals?
Well,
do they need a Juan Soto? I mean, everyone needs a Juan Soto.
They do, yeah. Well, what I've seen is that they're rumored to be right in the mix with the Padres, which makes me think it'll definitely be the Padres. So that's a loss for all of us.
We'll see what happens. I mean, could you imagine if Juan Soto ends up in San Diego while Patrick is there?
That'd be pretty cool for Patrick, but not for any fans of anyone else in the division.
Speaking of Patrick, do we have a Patrick Lyons on the line? Let's get him in here. We miss him so much. But yeah, Patrick is in San Diego right now. He's going to be bringing us coverage. We can see him on a monitor super far away from us. Patrick, how are you doing?
Not as good as you guys in the new studio without me.
It's glorious.
I have to be totally honest with you, Patrick. The lighting in here is remarkable. It's going to be selfie central up in here after this show.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed there are not more air plants around there. There definitely needs to be some crystals.
We need crystals.
Terminated quartz. We need some double terminated quartz. Yeah, I said it. We need it.
Total honesty, I've been like researching which crystals to sneak into the Rockies clubhouse to kind of change the
Turn
vibes.
the luck around.
Yeah, we need to turn the luck around. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for like bringing some rocks in and hiding them around the clubhouse. But we're gonna find out real fast if I get my credentials revoked or not.
Look, they're called the rocks, but maybe after you get in there, they'll be also called the minerals and the
Oh
gems.
my god. Oh my god. He's been
We
on
missed
it.
this. We missed this, Patrick. We missed your puns. Puns? Is that a pun? That's a pun. A joke? Whatever you call humor, we missed it. All right, so
Appreciate it.
tell us what you've been up to in San Diego. When did you arrive? What have you eaten? What's going on there?
I had 3 cups of coffee before I ate anything today, so that was good or bad depending on how you want to look at it. Hit one of my favorite spots up that's right by the airport. I don't know if you know this, but the airport, there's a landing strip directly next to the elephant corral in the San Diego Zoo. The airport is like right on top of the city. It's right there. It's kind of wild. There's not like late night flights in San Diego because you're in Little Italy. The planes will come in right overhead, screaming hot. It's crazy, but it's awesome. It's great.
I'm realizing I've never flown into San Diego. I've been to San Diego a million times. I've never flown in. I've only driven in. I don't know. I had no idea. Thank you for the intel.
Yeah, it's a little bit smaller of an airport, but again, reduced flights because of where it's located exactly. That's why you're always going to get, the final game of a series will be a day game, unlike LA when they're like, all right, well, we're going to schedule a game for 7:00 at night. And meanwhile, you got to go to New York the next day. Dodgers are not cool like that. Luckily, the city of San Diego is like, Padres, you can't do whatever you want because we have an airport like on Main Street. So that was interesting. I went to Bird Rock Coffee Roasters, which is also a favorite spot of Connor Joe's.
No way.
The last trip he came back. Oh yeah, he had his whole beans that of course you grind them down at home so they're a little fresher if you're doing a French press or something like that. So Bird Rock Coffee Roasters is great.
Is this what Connor Joe does when he wants a cup of coffee at home?
Probably. It could be a good 10-minute process. It can be very romantic. I haven't loved on myself that way in a while, but it's a whole process. If you get the beans,
Everything you
do
said.
a manual burr. If you've used a manual burr before, you don't want to use a machine because there's too much heat and you lose some of the oil from the coffee beans. You need a manual burr. This is true. Then you put it in your French press, hot water. You leave it in there for 4 minutes to steep. It's a whole thing.
Is that how you
Connor
make your
Joe and I
coffee
love-
every morning? Are you a whole beans guy, Patrick? Are you a whole bean guy?
Always.
Well,
Again,
of course he is.
You gotta ground your own beans.
Nah,
Listen,
I'm all about convenience. But
If you do the little things, Brendan, the big things take care of themselves. I don't know anyone who says that regularly.
That's it. Yes, it's like a coffee phrase, believe it or not. I think you can get it on a mug at Starbucks, and it's really all about grinding your own beans. But across the street is the Crack Shack, a really great place to get fried chicken. Also learned there's one in Denver now, in like Greenwood Village.
oh,
Oh,
nice.
Got a
okay.
Crack Shack.
We
Really good.
Yeah, I'm starving actually.
I've been at a ballpark all day. I'm hungry. All right,
Yeah,
so
there's
did you eat?
There's no fried food there.
No fried food at Course Field at all. So wait, did you eat the fried chicken? What have you eaten today?
Just fried chicken and a small order of fries. There was a line at the Crack Shack, so of course I said, you know what? Let me have my 3rd cup of coffee, order it for pickup, walk across the street, grab it, come back, eat a fried chicken sandwich while I chug my 3rd cup of coffee. It's great for my digestive system. There's too much oxygen down here at sea level. Too much. I'm not feeling well. I'm fearing reverse altitude sickness.
Oh my!
I don't know
gosh.
what this is. I'm not feeling great.
I'm all right. I'm so sorry to hear it. Listen, I have not talked to you for an extended period of time. I feel like it's been forever. It's been like, maybe a day. But as we are heading into the trade deadline, you're going to be on the ground floor with the Rockies if any moves happen there. What do you see happening? What is your take on what we're going to see in the next couple of days? What are you bracing for?
Man, it's It's hard to put your finger on it a little bit. I think, there was some hopeful optimism, I think a month ago, when the poll that I took of the respected people that we work with in the press box was like 2 people would get traded, which is not a ton, but it's something. It's a step in the right direction, an acknowledgement that, okay, let's wave the white flag a little bit here and say, this season is a lost cause, but we can help ourselves in the future. Now it seems much closer to 0 players will get traded, but I'm hoping that Bill Schmidt is treating this a lot like, the offseason when it first started back up after the lockout. And in a very short amount of time, kept his cards close to his chest and his vest, not his black vest. He kept them close to his green pants, I should say. But ultimately, and they signed Chris Bryant. They make the trade for Randall Grichik. They make some, shrewd and savvy moves to sign Iglesias, Colomé, and Cool to 1-year deals. And so quite possibly, that could be what we see here is maybe 2 guys getting moved. Alex Colomé, Jose Iglesias being the 2 most likely players that you could get, something substantial. Other than that, there hasn't many players you typically say is on the trade market that have helped their value. I mean, think back a month ago, Chad Kuhl has a 3-hit complete game shutout against the Dodgers. Everyone in the National League has to be salivating at that, saying, wow, okay, if this is what he can do against the Dodgers, we pay a pretty penny for that. And unfortunately, the Rockies are not aggressive enough, and they wait around. The month of July goes by. You look at his last start, he can't even get through the 4th inning, and you might not be able to get anything for him. And, that's obviously disappointing. You have to be a little bit aggressive on the trade market, to move guys like that. So no one's really hot at the right time. Iglesias still has all his value from, the beginning of the season. Same thing with Colomé. And the latest guy that I think you could throw out there and say he's hot at the right time, doing it against the Dodgers, only has a year left before he becomes a free agent, will only make $6 million next year because Toronto is paying a good $4 million or so of that. Randall Grichik, 8 RBI this weekend against the Dodgers. He could be one of those candidates where if they trade him, that's not a major move. Bill Schmidt said a major move is not coming. Trade of Randall Grichik wouldn't be major. It would be a small move, but it would be one at least in the right direction that says, hey, you know what? We need to live to fight another day.
Obviously, a lot of fans have seen deadlines come and go here with the Rockies without desired results, depending on your perspective. I think a lot of people, when it comes to, sure, he's not hot at the right time, but a guy like CJ or a guy like Bard, and when you hear they're not likely to be moved, literally the first question is why? I mean, so if you could play the devil's advocate case for not moving Randall right now, or not moving Bard right now, or not taking advantage of CJ, what is it that the Rockies are hoping to sort of obtain and tap into down the line?
Well, there's 2 types of players that they could look to move at the trade deadline. They're the guys that are on the 1-year deal, and they're kind of not as important. But I think ultimately one of the reasons why they might not get moved is the offers are really insignificant. And I think unfortunately the Rockies should take 50 cents on the dollar on a guy who's going to be a free agent in a couple months, just to get themselves into the conversations, just to say, hey, look, we're playing the same game as the other GMs. We're willing to negotiate. That's a starting point. And maybe the next deal that they make, it's 75 cents on the dollar, or maybe they actually get their asking price. You got to play the game a little bit. And I think there's a lot of teams in and around baseball that aren't really interested in trying to do business with the Rockies because they could get all the way down to the last minute and agree to a deal, and the owner could potentially step in, or, again, something just doesn't work out. So as Bill Schmidt said on Saturday in the dugout, basically saying, teams have called and said, hey, how do you feel about this guy? No real offers, because again, not even worth their effort to make a definitive offer, because, the conversation could be very long and it's just a waste of time. So those small guys, maybe you should just take what you can get. But to your question, ultimately, Brendan, about the bigger players, the Rockies feel that they've got a core. They've got players that can come back next year. Again, Grichik, Cron, they still have 1 more year left. until they become free agents. And so maybe, just maybe in 2023, you can catch lightning in a bottle and say, well, when Chris Bryant was healthy, at least before, the start of the second half where they've been 3-7 since the All-Star break, you say, maybe we can catch lightning in a bottle. The rotation is better than what they've been this year. Then you can maybe get the second or third wild card. That's not terribly exciting, right? It's not, we're going to go out and win the NL West, but it does provide some hope. And I think that's the idea behind that is, we keep these big cornerstone guys to maybe have a chance next year. Because if we trade them, even if we get, fair value, it doesn't move the needle very much on the future. It does move it a little bit, and I think that's an important thing. And I've got an article coming out on the DNVR.com about moving that needle and looking ahead and saying, here's why it's important to maybe take 50 cents on the dollar, because guess what? When you don't have 2 quarters to rub together in 3-4 years, when Zach Veen and Drew Romo are up and Ryan McMahon and Kyle Freeland are in the final years of their deal, you're going to wish that maybe you had traded Jose Iglesias or Alex Colomé or Randall Grichik and got something for the future. But if they get nothing for it now, it might impact them more negatively in the future than next season.
So it's just, it comes down to a fundamental disagreement with the fan base in terms of how close they are to something competitive.
Yeah, I understand. I do understand that, you could trade away just about everyone. You could even trade, Herman Marquez. You're going to get a decent haul for him, even though he's having a down year in general. But you could get a package of players and they might not really contribute much to the future, right? Studies basically show, the bigger the name of the player, the less of the return that the team is going to get that gives them up. You just, Juan Soto is going to get the top 4 players in the Cardinals or Padres system, whatever it may be, and they're still going to end up getting their butts whipped on that deal. But that's just kind of the business that, that these teams are in. And it's a no-win situation. So you try to make the best of it. And so I think the Rockies would rather, stay with the one that got them to the dance than, make a trade for something better down the line. That certainly is not guaranteed.
Okay.
All right, Patrick, final thoughts. You mentioned that conversation with Bill Schmidt in the dugout on Saturday after that extension was announced. What stood out to you the most about what he had to say about this extension?
Well, as far as the extension goes, I thought it was, really interesting how much it was hammered home about players, if they like the Rockies, are a rare thing. And so whenever you have someone that's interested in you like that, you really need to covet that. And so I think that that's certainly true. Suzie, I think you and I kind of had a little discussion or a little back and forth about that, because it's strange, for I know some guys might remember back to middle school, high school. If a girl was interested in you, okay, well, you were interested in them. Like, I don't know who this person is. I don't know what their deal is, but I'm interested. If you like me, I like you. Yeah. Like, that's
actually at 30.
Right. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think for all of us, really, no matter the gender. So I think there's something to that. And so the Rockies kind of covet those guys. But the interesting thing is, if you look at, March, when the lockout ended, if you played hard to get, and you say, you know what, we're not going to sign the people that want us. We're just going to wait. We're just going to sit back. At a certain point, it's like musical chairs. There's only going to be so many chairs, and someone's going to be left out. They've got nowhere to sit, and you're going to say, hey, you want to come talk to me? I mean, that's what happened with Jose Iglesias. There was no other market for him at shortstop, ultimately. Alex Colomé, Chad Kuhl. So you can still bring those guys in. They may not want to really sign with you, but nevertheless, they are going to, because you're giving them guaranteed money. You're giving them an opportunity to continue their career. It's a major league deal. They're going to have an opportunity to, to show what they're made of and possibly, leverage that into a deal the next year. So the Rockies, I don't think, need to just go to the dance with those people that are interested in them. But it did make me think back to John Gray last year, who said, hey, I'm kind of interested in you guys. And they played a little footsie, and, off season came, and it turned out John Gray was, he was like, no, I just I'm trying to get other people interested by, showing that you're interested. And now there's not a qualifying offer. Now we're not really dating anymore. It's kind of a whole thing. And so I think, Suzie, you had asked the question like, hey, what was the timeline on this? And it was basically at the beginning of July, when they were in LA for the 4th of July, that things started to speed up. And I think, the Rockies, and rightfully so to a degree, if they wanted to keep Daniel Bard, they had to do it and sign him before the trade deadline. They couldn't afford to let this situation become what it was for John Gray. So then you say, all right, well, how much is he worth? I would have thought 2 years, $15 million, maybe $16 million would have got it done. But because they had that deadline of getting it done before the trade deadline, you had to probably pay an extra $2-3 million tax for him to stay there. So, and if he becomes a free agent or you trade him away, you still probably would have had to sign him for a 2-year, $19 million contract regardless. But it is interesting, that narrative of, well, they're interested in playing here, and so we're interested in having them, which again has a lot of value. And that's only part of it with Daniel Bard, because he brings so many more things to the table. He's a very grounded person, and Suzie knows a lot more about that than I do. But nevertheless, I think it's a nice deal for him. I'm obviously very happy for his family, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. Let's leave it on a good note, because all is fair in love and baseball.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
There we go. Patrick, thank you for hopping in.
Good to see you,
He's going to
man.
be with us tomorrow, still from San Diego. We're going to get more into all of that.
Nice. I'm jealous.
But yeah, I know. He's just in like the best weather market.
At a great time.
It's a city.
Yeah, best weather
market out there.
Market.
Yeah, I'm a psycho. All right, well, this has been fun.
Oh, I had a blast, Suzie.
And Brendan's going to be with us all freaking week. So this is going to be such a treat. Thank you to the DNVR Nuggets community for letting us have you.
They didn't.
They didn't?
No, they didn't put up much resistance. I was a little offended at how little resistance they put up, but I'm happy to be here.
I see it as we won the trade.
Let's go.
So
Works
let's
for me.
go. Let's do it. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. And you know what they say about
The end of podcasts.
end of podcasts is that I don't know how to end them.
Nice.
We'll see you soon.